Yeah, so a Kweebec is like a tree person from this game, Hytale. So in the story mode, you run into this faction called the Kweebecs, and they're basically just like walking, talking trees, and their whole life cycle is like based around plants. So, and I went up on stage and sort of did a what Hytale means to the community kind of talk to the team themselves, and to hype them up for this next stage of development, essentially.
How much do you think Hytale is going to rival Minecraft?
Kweebec Corner DMs Mr. Beast about Hytale? Imagine.
Alright lads, welcome back to Midweek MC, the part of the podcast where I sit down with the amazing co-host who is back again. AJ, welcome back. Sadly, he couldn't make it because last week's Midweek MC was recorded on Sunday, but he's here now, so hello.
Thank you for having me back. I feel like I've missed like so many this year, so every time I'm here, it's a real honour.
It's fine. We're all very busy. I know you're very busy as well. There's also something before we get into introducing our guest today, which we'll talk to him about this thing also. But there's something that's been very, very cool announced today, right?
Yes. It was announced.
How's it going?
I'm trying to think of a bit, if I'm honest, but
it was announced on the time of recording this podcast.
Yeah, I was trying to think of another thing I could say was announced today, but I couldn't think of it. It was announced that we were getting MCC Rising free.
Whoa!
Which by the time this podcast comes out, will everyone would have applied.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround.
Who is our guest today, anyways? Because they actually used to work for Noxcrew as well, which is kind of crazy.
You are correct.
I definitely knew that before the podcast.
He's honest about it. Today we have a very exciting guest. We have Casey Hytale.
Hey, hi guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, good to hear your voices, and I'm ready to talk inside the Minecrafts and outside the Minecrafts with Hytale.
I think we should address the elephant in the room. All right, you are very British.
Yes, I am very British. I think that's probably due to the fact that I was born in Britain.
England. But like, I mean, I feel like your voice is very British as opposed to like myself and AJ.
Very stereotypical British.
Yeah, it feels very British.
You don't think I'm British?
I'm surprised. I work with a lot of Americans, so I feel like sometimes my voice, like, I'll pronounce certain words super un-British, like status and status, or like data and data. I'll like get those switched around sometimes.
What's the most British accent you can get?
I feel like common London. I know you're not from London, but like a common Londoner accent, I feel like it's probably British. But I don't know, they just sound British. I don't know.
Surely you have to mix true. Surely you have to mix like the Scottish and Welsh and Northern Irish accents in there a bit as well.
Okay, English then. Sorry, English accent. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I corrected even more. But anyways, with that addressed, we always like to give the intro here for you to let us know who you are. Who are you? What do you do? A fun fact maybe about yourself today before we get into interviewing you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Kweebec Connor, or Casey Hytale, or just Connor. I make videos currently on an unreleased game called Hytale, which is developed by Hypixel Studios. Hypixel, they branched off from the Hypixel server in Minecraft, one of the biggest servers ever, to make their own game, and I'm basically just a massive fanboy of that and cover all the updates and stuff. I actually recently got to fly out and meet the team and see a bunch of cool stuff while I was in Dublin, so that was awesome. But before that, I was doing all sorts of stuff in the Minecraft scene, so everything from working with content creators, making adventure maps. I've done stuff with, like you said, the Noxcrew. I work with the team on the marketplace, so I've done a few marketplace maps for Bedrock. So I've been all around in the Minecraft scene for a long time, and so I'm kind of looking to a new chapter with Hytale, but also looking back at Minecraft very lovingly, you know.
That's, you know what, to start off with, that's interesting because you've been in Minecraft for so long. So when did you get into Minecraft and how?
Yeah, so I think I heard about Minecraft around, it was either the end of 2009 or like the start of 2010 when there was like an online version of the game. Like it was probably on the website itself where you just play on the browser. You just join like these mini servers and place a load of blocks. I don't know if that was ImDev or whatever it's called, but yeah, I guess you could consider it pretty much as early as it gets. So back in alpha all the way up to beta, I was like watching the old school like Yogscast videos and X and Paul Swords Juniors and everything. So that's where I initially started playing as a player, as just a little young 12-year-old boy playing Minecraft.
That means you've known it longer than me, and honestly, I've been since like 2011. So yeah,
that's really OG though. Still, that's so
yeah.
true.
It's good to talk to someone that's been around for as long or slightly longer in this case.
I start to see blocks in real life sometimes.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, back when I was a kid, that actually did used to happen.
I have a
But
gold
not in a-
block on top of
not
my
in a weird way.
fridge.
Oh, is it from you mean the gold block from
Yeah.
yeah from TwitchCon MCC too.
Indeed. I carried it all
Nice.
the way home. It was great.
on the train.
Yeah, I went to 4 different countries in like 4 hours with me. It was amazing. With it being around for so long, obviously, like you said it was like 10 years ago you got into the scene. Have you always had the name Kweebec Corner?
No, yeah. So my old username was Goo the Splat.
Oh.
Which was
Oh.
very different from what my name is now.
Just a tad,
Obviously, my
yeah.
name just a little bit. My name now is based in sort of the Hytale mythos and lore and everything. But as far as Goo the Splat goes, that's what I worked in. A bunch of teams as, and I went around all the servers. There might even be some people who recognize that name more than Kweebec Corner in some cases. But yeah,
I'll put both
Goo
in the
the
title.
Splat.
Kweebec Corner.
You know what that
Goo
came-
the Splat.
Don't even have like a fun origin story for that. I just remember there was a streamer. They were on like their Minecraft server, and it was like their special streamer server or whatever. And I remember they were like calling out people with like the best names. So I went and bought like a whole new version of Minecraft just so I could create a new username, and it just happened to be like Goo the Splat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that.
Onomatopoeia, because it's like when you hear words that you can kind of hear what they are, like splat or whack or like hit, like kind of things. Like yeah, that's the best I've got for you as far as the name origin story, unfortunately. But yeah.
And then you said
No,
Kweebec
it's-
is Hytale lore.
Yeah, so a Kweebec is like a tree person from this game, Hytale. So in the story mode, you run into this faction called the Kweebecs, and they're basically just like walking, talking trees, and their whole life cycle is like based around plants. So they start as little cute seedlings that run around, and then they grow into these kind of like humanoid trees that have like a bunch of different stuff to do. Like they have magical singing powers. They can throw like razor leaf spears and things like that, and then they eventually age into just a giant tree that just like sort of plants itself in the ground and becomes like part of the world, which is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm just a big fan of trees. I came up in the community of In the Littlewood, who you guys don't know, his big thing is like saplings and trees, and so I've always loved that kind of theming. So I sort of took that from Hytale and thought this will be my theme, my go at it.
And that's why you narrow it down to Casey Hytale then.
Yeah, I think Casey Hytale is better for just search optimization. Like no one really knows what a Kweebec is, but if you see Casey Hytale, it's like Casey. You can probably infer is just like a nickname, and then Hytale, it's like, oh, that's the game that there was a trailer for 5 years ago that still isn't out yet. Got 60 million views, which is crazy still to think about to this day.
There's Kweebec Corner, but you could have been called Kweebec Connor.
So I didn't realize this. Like it took me a good like 6 or 7 months before someone was like, "Aren't you Kweebec Connor?" And I was like, "No, I'm Kweebec Corner." And then I realized that there was a similarity there. So that was actually coincidence, funnily enough.
Really?
But yeah, I probably should have called myself that now. Coming to think of it.
Is there anyone else that you watched apart from In the Littlewood when you were, first starting playing Minecraft?
Yeah, it's like I mean, I knew about YouTube, and I watched a few creators before like Minecraft existed, but it was mostly like different things like tutorials for games or like World of Warcraft stuff or RuneScape. But when Minecraft came about, it just took over. I think I was watching pretty much everyone on YouTube that I watched at the time was a Minecrafter. Like there wasn't really this whole thing of like doing challenges in real life, and like even the vlogging stuff didn't take off until like 2013, 2014 with like Casey Neistat. So I just remember pretty much every Minecraft YouTuber that existed I was probably watching or aware of at the time. I was like super hyper fixated on the Minecraft community. So I guess dropping some names, trying to think, like obviously a bunch more people in the Yogscast. There was Tom Syndicate, gosh, who else? I'm trying to think now because there's been so many generations of Minecraft creator, and because I'm always like going back into the different generations.
Exactly.
And Venom was another big one that I watched in the early days, and X as well. X's Adventures in Minecraft is just like that's one of the first ever Let's Plays I watched of the game. I still like have a really soft spot for that Let's Play.
These are all perfect nostalgia for me. I'm very happy to be able to talk to you about this. And it's like I think basically what I've been leading to is you had a video and you've hinted it there. There's basically been different stages of Minecraft and different groups of Minecraft YouTubers. You had a video 3 years ago, which was the entire history of Minecraft on YouTube, which was a to call it a video is a bit of an understatement. To be fair, I'd call it a documentary in some lights, because it goes into like just how much everything's changed but also stayed the same in terms of Minecraft on YouTube. And I think Minecraft as a whole is so interesting when it comes to like creativity, because it's basically infinite. When did you first think, oh, I'm going to make this video?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So, I mean, I was covering Hytale content at the time, but I still like loved Minecraft, and that was like where my heart was and where I was working at the time. So it was like, what would be like a me video to do that would like work for this like idea of there's a new game coming that a lot of like Minecraft players might enjoy. And I thought, well, maybe I could make a video on the history of Minecraft to sort of be like, well, you know, technically Hytale is like a new chapter for Hypixel. This could be like your new chapter as a player. But then the more I just thought about it, the more I realized, oh wait, I have like connections to like a bunch of people who've been like really, really pivotal to the Minecraft community. And I was there and like watched a lot of it happen and followed so much of it. And there was a lot of nostalgia kind of picking up. That was like really, I'd say like one of the first times that nostalgia was really hitting the Minecraft community specifically, where people were coming back to the game and remembering old times and making documentaries about old stuff. Because that sort of always triggered after like the resurgence in like 2019 and 2020. And so I think that's what I was just like, yeah, I'm going to just gather a load of really cool, interesting people from the community, interview them about the history, and then cover it all. I never actually planned for it to turn out to be like a 2.5 hour, basically feature-length documentary, like you say. But yeah, so it kind of spiraled from there. I remember this was during the pandemic as well, where it was literally, I just moved apartments. I was sitting in a completely empty bedroom with like just a laptop on the floor. And then I realized I'd scheduled like all of my interviews for that week. So I like sat on the floor of my bedroom and interviewed people like Ant Venom and Sky Does Minecraft and Stefan Noxcite from the Noxcrew and a bunch of other really, really cool creators. And that was really fun. But yeah, that ended up turning into such a long video because there was so much to cover. And yeah, I mean, it's funny as well, right? You think about Minecraft, there's just so much to cover that 2.5 hour documentary was only really about Minecraft YouTube and like the effect that that's had on the YouTube ecosystem and vice versa and stuff like that. There's so much stuff I didn't cover in that video as well. Like if you covered everything, you'd probably have like a 24-hour Minecraft video covering like the entire history of everything. It's insane.
Like Twitch and so it's like everything added into so much you could talk about in terms of it. I was gonna say, what was your favorite interview from doing that?
Oh, that's a good question. It was good to interview Noxcite because we got to catch up after a few years, and so that was nice to sort of see that they were like, it turned like Noxcrew Game Show into MCC, which is now this like huge thing. And so it was so fun like knowing like going back to those original times where we were working on the game show and having this big catch up with him years later was really, really fun and nostalgic. I think another one, Ant Venom said some like really, really good poetic stuff in there. Like he was like, Minecraft is like this box of toys that like we all come back to around like when the rehype kind of happened. He kind of gave like this really poetic speech about that, and there's so many good quotes in the video from Ant Venom. He's super insightful and he's a good egg. And then gosh, yeah, I mean, you said pick one favorite, so I feel bad now that I'm saying like 3 different ones.
No, go for it.
Trying to think who else was really good. Probably Rye Guy Rocky, because I wasn't expecting so much interesting stuff from him. Like, he's a roleplay channel and yes, did a lot of like roleplay series in the past, and
especially
and it was such an insightful thing to hear from someone who was on that side as well. Because you had like Noxcite's like a map maker kind of builder. You had Ant Venom, who's like a YouTuber, and then but more like like playing the game and covering like certain aspects of the game. Whereas Rye Guy was like, oh, let's just all get together and roleplay and make stories and narratives, and so much sprang out of that. Like literally, you've now got entire subgenres and categories of content that are all around that, like roleplay and machinimas, I guess you could call them now, or mini movies and shorts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
big fan of you naming podcast guests. Rye Guy and
true.
It all links into each other. What is this law?
Dude, to be fair, you guys have had so many interesting people on. Like my friend Radoons is like super into Hytale as well, so he's like a big part of the community. And obviously he's done all the lifestyle stuff. So to see him on there, that's what like sort of caught my attention. I was like, oh, dude, literally everyone that like either I've known of, watched, or worked with on this podcast. I was like, I should send those guys a message.
It's kind of crazy, right? I don't really know how we've done it. it, but I'll take it. Can't complain.
I think it's a testament to how much people want to talk about the game, and like not just
and themselves,
like
and not in a
yeah,
negative way,
it's like it's not just about the game now, but like where they've been, what the game's done like for them, and how it's like changed them, and how they've grown up in it. Like we're really hitting that big nostalgia hit now. Like 2020 was one nostalgia hit, and now this one's another one, which is crazy.
I think it's just I think what's good about the podcast as well as and what I quite kind of value myself in is and a little quote that I came up with like not too long ago was it's giving a voice to the community, or like giving a voice to the creators, in a sense of like you're not really going to sit down and record a video of you talking about yourself, and you can do it on stream, but that's just going to be in a stream VOD somewhere that will probably get lost, right? If you're on a podcast, it's official, like, oh, you want to learn more about me? Here, watch this. I got interviewed and I talked about myself for like an hour or two, and so that's I guess that's what I value with the podcast. I'm happy for it. So
that's good. It's also like a record, you know, like people can always go back to this and be like, oh, what was the time and the thoughts like then, and what were they thinking about the past and all that sort of stuff. It's good to keep a lot of this, because it's so funny, but there's actually Minecraft lost media, which is something I learned about a few months ago, where there's like a bunch of stuff that like no longer exists, or people are like desperately trying to find certain things from Minecraft because like no one really documented all this stuff back then. Like I'm pretty sure recently there was like a version of Minecraft that had like they'd never had it, like no one had it in the archives or had it on their computers or anything, and someone like found it. I'm pretty sure there was a story like that recently. It was like lost media Minecraft update or something, which is wild.
Now, yeah, like you said, this podcast is the perfect place of in 3 years time you can look back and be like, Hytale still hasn't released,
bro.
Sorry,
hey, you never know. I'm actually curious what you guys' like thoughts or like knowledge of Hytale is, because like there's so many different layers of people that either like are super into it and follow every detail, or like haven't heard of it since the trailer. I'm really curious.
Well, I guess my brothers were very into it at the start. They were very much they sweated the Hypixel community. I'd sort of got I played it a lot when I was like 13, 15, but when Hytale got announced, I was a lot old, I was entering, well, I was a full-on adult. So it didn't wash me by, because of course I'm in Minecraft and no one would shut up about it. But in terms of actually learning about it, my brothers were very into it at the start, and then they sort of ended up, tailing off as they're becoming adults now as well.
They hightailed out there. That's what they did.
Yeah, exactly. They're becoming adults as well now, so they sort of, as you say, hightailed out of it slowly. Like I see stuff every now and again, but yeah, I don't have the best knowledge in the world. Beyond like very early stuff.
Cool. No, I mean, like there's like I said, there's a lot of layers to people's knowledge of it, especially with so long in development. Like people will lose patience and just be like, I'm going to chime out for a few years. I certainly did that with things like Cyberpunk, and even No Man's Sky back in the day, before like all of the drama around that game. I remember it coming for like 2 years and being so excited about it, and I just sort of lost interest. And then one day it was just released. It was like, by the way, that like infinite expansive universe game has just dropped and everyone hates it. I was like, oh no,
now it's good again.
Well, they've had their redemption. Yeah, I think it's an interesting case with Hytale. I'm curious about yours as well, Orbits, your experience.
My answer is, I guess, slightly less good. I don't know how to word that. I don't really know anything about Hytale, actually. I learned a lot of stuff today from doing research on your video, and so did Roman from doing research on your video. MCC Rising teammate, by the way, works on podcast. But yeah, she helped me with doing some research, so we watched a few of your videos and learned a bit more about Hytale. But I'll base it off just as if like I'd never done the research. I know nothing about it. I just know it's a new I know it's a new game that was announced like 3 or 4 years ago. Obviously development takes a long time, so like that's why it was only a joke earlier. Like I'm not fussed about it taking ages to release, because it means it's going to be a good game, and rather than rushing it and releasing an unfinished project. But I just know it's like, at first I thought it was a Minecraft spin-off, like obviously Hypixel taking and just rebranding Minecraft, but now I know it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, they had like a lot to combat in the first few years of just that like basic comparison of stuff. And anytime like Hytale goes viral, it does just get compared to Minecraft. I think it happens, like people don't realize it as much, right? Like block games are very specific in that they're very recognizably all made of cubes, right? So like the fact that the world's biggest game in the world has that style, just it has that bias of just being like the go-to comparison. It happens with other games, like you'll see an FPS FPS release, and they'll be like, wait, this looks exactly like this Battlefield game looks exactly like Call of Duty. It's just a guy holding a gun, and there's loads of realistic real life wars going on in front of me. It's like, but people don't really go, oh, Battlefield copied Call of Duty, or maybe they do, but either way, you know that they're two very distinct different games. And it's the same thing with Hytale. You know, Hytale takes the visual aspects of Minecraft and some of the survival components, but at the heart of it, really, there's so much more to it. Like they've got aspects of like Roblox in terms of like the creation tools and the platform, and how everyone will be able to make their own experiences, because they've effectively made their own engine, right? That's like basically what they've made there, and so yeah, I think that's what people don't really see when they say like, oh, the game's been in development hell for like 5 years. It's actually because they've not been making the game; they've been making the actual engine, which will not just host their game, but everyone else's games that they come onto Hytale to make, right? So I think that's one thing that people forget, which is actually really interesting. Yeah, so they take aspects of like Roblox in that regard, even Fortnite in some aspects with some of their mini games that they're preparing for online, and a lot of people make some comparisons to like Terraria as well. In fact, the Hytale team are like quite close with the Terraria devs, so I think there's probably going to be like a few references or even some camaraderie there between studios, which is always nice to see. But yeah, it's a big boiling pot of games, really, which is funny because that's actually what Minecraft was originally. You know, when first version of Minecraft was released, it was kind of like a mix of 3 different games. I think it was like Dwarf Fortress, Infiniminer, and another game that he kind of cobbled together Minecraft from all these different strong points of these games that he loved. It's kind of what Hytale are doing as well now, which is again why it's taken so long. You know, Minecraft was made in 2 days, I'm pretty sure, like over a weekend, whereas Hytale's been made over half a decade, which is crazy to think about.
What's that one game called? Trojan or something?
Trove?
Yeah. There's also that game as well that's like very like gives me similar vibes.
Yeah, people compare Trove to it a lot as well. It's interesting. Yeah, I cut this out. It's interesting because yeah, there's so many comparisons, but again, I think that's the beauty of it, is that that's what's going to make it stand alone as its own game, because it's not just a one-to-one comparison of Minecraft. You know, you can compare it to all of these different games, and so in that regard, it stands on its own 2 feet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
What actually like got you into why this game in the best way possible? Obviously, because you've spent so much time talking about it and researching it and basically trying to find out as much as possible for it. What made you so excited in the first place?
That's a great question, actually, because like I mean, you'd be surprised. Like the average age of like the core Hytale community is like mid-20s. Like
yes,
people that want to wait for this game have waited a long time and they've grown up waiting for it. And that I think has come from just this pure, overwhelming excitement of like what it could be. And that's different for everyone. But what I know for like my story with it is that I was linked the trailer. I was told that it's connected to Hypixel Studios, the Minecraft team, and that's all I knew. And then I watched the trailer and was just like, oh my god, this is everything I've ever needed. And so you know, at the time I was working with you know, Noxcrew and a bunch of YouTubers and some Minecraft teams here and there and all sorts of different projects like that. And then Hytale came along and basically was like, what if you know, all of your favorite games catered to your exact job that you're doing right now, which is, you know, making maps and content and all that stuff, and they gave you tools to do it all. I think that's what got me really excited. But then also I wanted to start my own YouTube channel. So I was like, you know, there's a million Minecraft channels a second at this point. Maybe I could do one about Hytale. And it turned out that basically no one else wanted to do that. So I guess that kind of helped me a little bit in sort of standing out.
There you go. With more so on Hytale then, obviously you've been following it for a long time, looking back at your oldest videos. It's 5 years ago. The potential of Hytale, you know, that was a good start, and then you kind of went on throughout the years of all the different ones. What is over if you have a specific one? What is your kind of favorite moment of your Hytale era?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I definitely have to say that going to like meet the development team was like a really big highlight.
So recency bias then.
Yeah, it was just a little bit, but I mean, it was also an amazing experience. You know, like I got to meet the whole team in person. These are like devs that I've kind of joked with and made, you know, delay jokes and the game's going to be cancelled jokes and like talked in discords with for years now. And you know, obviously going back to those first few years after the trailer, the team were like really communicative. Like there was all sorts of team members getting involved in the community and stuff. So to see those faces in real life and put, you know, faces to names and have that chat and all that, it was absolutely amazing. And I even got to do a talk on pretty much what your question was, which is like, why did I choose to specifically do Hytale content, right? And I went up on stage and sort of did a what Hytale means to the community kind of talk to the team themselves. kind of to hype them up for this next stage of development, essentially. Yeah, I guess besides that though, besides the recency bias, I'd say that the first ever Thankmas we did was a highlight. So effectively, Jacksepticeye does this yearly charity stream called Thankmas, and he encourages other people and sub communities to sort of get behind it and do their own little stream.
Hytale helpers, right?
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, so we essentially just all sat in a Discord, and basically Thankmas was happening around the same time as the anniversary of the trailer, and so everyone in the community thought that like there was going to be a new trailer released on the anniversary, or some big information was going to drop, and then we got absolutely nothing. So a bunch of us was like, what if there was something? Like, what if we just made sure that there was something every year people could get excited for, even if there's no news? And so that's where we basically started this charity stream in sort of partnership with the whole Thankmas movement, but again, just specifically for the Hytale community and to celebrate everyone that was in it. So we got a bunch of the YouTubers, because surprisingly, there's a lot of content creators that are actually in the Hytale space now, and we got a bunch of fan artists and a bunch of people who do models and animations and had done like fan Hytale models on Twitter and stuff, and a bunch of people like that all together to sort of stream a variety of different things. It's kind of crazy. That first year, it was like, making fan art live on stream, talking about the footage that we've got. We had like a round table with a bunch of creators all on webcam, like chatting about the game and stuff. And then the team actually joined the live stream and surprised us and was talking in chat and everything. And that was really, really cool. And that one specifically is so like my most favorite moment, because that kind of started a trend. So we've done that same Thankmas charity stream now for 5 years, or this is going to be our 5th year. We've raised over $40,000 in that time, and we've really evolved. We've stepped up our game. So now the charity has like its own custom animations. People are making Hytale parody songs. We've got like we have like the team on every year now to do like a special exclusive interview for the community, and yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. That's like the highlight of this last 5 years of waiting for the game for me, genuinely.
Oh, that's like the perfect highlight.
100%.
It was the most wholesome highlight ever.
I was gonna say, kind of mixed in with your Hytale content, and we touched on it a little bit earlier with the documentary, but I kind of want to go more into depth with this. To link it back into Minecraft, oh my god, InsideMC, what? You did like part Minecraft videos as well about 3 years ago. You did the 1.17 update, which did quite well. You talked about the glow squid. You talked about like a few Minecraft updates in with Hytale content. What was like the idea with that specifically? Because I know it's quite, I know they're similar in the same sense of game. However, making two different contents about two different things, I guess, like how did you mix it so well, if that makes any sense at all?
So I guess like the documentary is what kicked it off, right? That kind of opened the floodgates, and I think that's because it was so drastically different. Like I was doing like these 8-minute news videos on a game that isn't out yet, and then suddenly I did like a 2.5-hour documentary on a game that has been out for now 15 years, which is crazy to think about. But that then, because the connection there was like, oh, people are waiting for Hytale and they're probably playing Minecraft in the meantime, so the connection was kind of there already. But then after that, I kind of just really wanted to share my thoughts on modern day Minecraft. So like I think I did like a snapshot video at one point that did really badly, but then I did like the 1.17 stuff. I was like really just had a lot of opinions on all of the stuff there, whether they were splitting the update or it was going to be like the biggest game-changing update to Minecraft ever. And I think I did the glow squid one as well because it's just so ridiculous, the whole mob vote stuff. So I kind of had a moment there where I was kind of like getting on to doing videos about like trending Minecraft topics and sort of talking about the community and the state of the game and stuff like that. I actually have a whole video analyzing Hytale's sideways slabs, which Minecraft doesn't have and has said that they're never going to add with its creativity.
Such an interesting statement to make.
But yeah, I ended up making a 15-minute video sort of comparing the two games just for vertical slabs or sideways slabs, which is fun. But I think I kind of just lost interest. I'm not going to lie. So there was a sort of time over the last couple of years where I was like, there's not really anything interesting to cover. A lot of it was like drama based or just kind of wishy-washy, and the game dev stuff wasn't really that interesting. But I also kind of just didn't really see it working in the long run, doing both Minecraft and Hytale stuff. Although I will probably plan another Minecraft video soon. I've got one that I want to do that's kind of 100 days themed, though it isn't actually isn't me doing 100 days in Minecraft. It's more like linked to history, like covering 100 days of Minecraft history, so to speak. So that should be another good one. But yeah, with Minecraft content specifically, I guess to underline the question, the answer, the TLDR is I'll only make a Minecraft video if I really, really want to. Like if there's something I have to make a video on. So it's not like this scheduled thing that I've got in my head. It's just, you know what? I haven't talked about Minecraft for like 4 years. I'm going to make an update on that history video and cover 100 days that, have made Minecraft history or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't expect me to. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, what would be like a really good? I need a Minecraft video for Friday. Oh, I'm gonna investigate the scariest myths, Minecraft scariest myths or something. I'm not really, because I guess that's a testament to the fact that I've done it so much already on other channels. Because I've worked with so many Minecraft content creators in terms of like coming up with ideas and scripting videos and things like that, where when I get to my channel I'm like, I'm kind of beat from all this. Like I've kind of done it all or seen it all already. It's not really, I don't get the same reactions as someone who sees it for the first time, I guess.
That's something else that sort of helps with the whole Hytale thing, the fact that it just hasn't been done before. Like none of this stuff has been sort of talked about before, none of it's been like delved into before. So does that sort of help like keep pushing it and keep pushing your motivation for it? Because I mean, 5 years is a long time to talk about something that hasn't had many. Well, it's had a lot of, no official huge thing.
It's so interesting because it's effectively like you're carving out a niche or like sort of leading this frontier in this space. I'm like massively into like YouTube and growing YouTube channels and like YouTube performance and strategy and viewer psychology and all of that stuff and like retention and everything. I'm super into. So it's kind of been like a practice field. Like there's no real stakes right now because the game isn't out. So I'm kind of just messing around in the niche and like creating like first time videos on this and analysis videos on this. And again, it goes back to like the reason why I started the channel was because no one was really making content about the game and I really wanted to see content about the game. So I ended up just making it, essentially for other people to watch because I figured, well, if I'm interested in looking for those videos, I'm sure other people will be. So I kind of filled the gap there. But since then, it's just been a really fun testing ground for ideas. I can report on the news when some new information drops or if there's a new screenshot, whenever that is, or a new, piece of gameplay footage. And it kind of has this overcast of like irony and humor to it, where it kind of almost feels like a satirical situation where I feel like I'm the Hytale guy that's covering the game that isn't out yet. And so I kind of have that like banterous kind of, I guess, relationship or connection with my viewers, which is always really, really fun. And it does make coming up with ideas a little easier as well because I guess nothing's been tested. So it's not like I'm having to go and research other YouTubers and see what's been done before and like what works. So it's effectively just, let's try this. Let's throw something at the wall and see if it sticks, which has worked out in my favor in some cases. So
I know it isn't their intention, but I'm just curious as to what your thoughts on it. At least as far as I'm aware, it's not their intention, but I'm curious to your thoughts on it anyways. You're taking a big risk in a sense in making videos on Hytale. They do very, very well for views, but you're taking a big risk on being one of the people to say, yeah, I made content about that before it released. And then when it releases, you're going to carry on making content, so you're one of the OGs. How much do you think Hytale is going to rival Minecraft?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I don't think the team will ever acknowledge that the game is going to rival Minecraft, but I have no doubt that it will affect market share in some capacity because they share a genre, right? It happens with every genre when like a new battle royale game comes out, regardless if they intend for it to or not, it will take some of Fortnite's players for a little bit. So I think there'll be like a little bit of a wave there, but I always imagine it as like you've got Minecraft is existing, and just because GTA 6 comes out, it doesn't mean I'm going to stop playing Minecraft, right? So for example, and like I go back and play old Rockstar games all the time, like the old GTAs and Red Dead Redemption and everything. So I don't think that it will have like this massive rivalry to Minecraft, although it's kind of like this unspoken thing. I think both teams will be like very amicable to one another, like they'll respect each other. They may even like publicly hype each other up, once Hytale updates come out, and maybe it can go that way. Like I said, the Hytale team are like actually friends with the Terraria team, so it isn't a stretch to say they might actually be friends with Mojang as well. And there's a lot of people from Mojang that work at Hytale now, that work on Hytale. In fact, like the game director for the Bedrock edition, John Hendricks, is actually now the game director for Hytale, which is crazy to think about. And so if he's on their side and he likes it, then I mean, it is what it is, I guess. At the end of the day, though, like this is a really big like conversation that is had pretty much hundreds of times a week in the Hytale community. It's like, what's it going to do to Minecraft? Is Minecraft going to overtake it? Like, how's it going to work? I don't think anything holds a candle to Minecraft. Nothing will ever be like Minecraft. You just can't replace that or recreate that spark that it had. It was so unique and perfectly timed, and now is part of culture and has been, for 15 years. Hytale isn't going to be that, but I do think that it will stand with the greats. Much like how you've got like, Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft, like these big platforms. I feel like Hytale has the potential to be one of those. And you know, maybe down the line you'll have people being like, oh, you know, I'm a Hytale guy, or like, no, I'm a Minecraft guy. But at the end of the day, they're two different games, and you can play them for two different reasons. You know, like I might enjoy the PvP and mini games on the Hytale online servers, but maybe the adventure mode just isn't for me, and I just want to go back to like a basic Minecraft survival world. You know, it doesn't have to be black and white essentially.
How big is the Hytale community?
It's interesting, I guess. Like some of my news updates, so I guess like the broad widest aspect of the community, when I release big updates, it's, you know, like I get 100k 200k viewers. But going down to like the discords and the subreddits and stuff, I think there's like 22,000 members of the subreddit. I think there's about probably across like all the different community discords, there's probably about 5, 6, 7,000 members across all of them, and that's just UK or English speaking. That's just English speaking discord. So I know there's a huge audience for Hytale in like Brazil and in Russia and in a few other parts of the world. There's like these like really big international audiences as well that kind of in some cases are like bigger than the English speaking audiences, which is cool. But yeah, so I couldn't put a number on it, but there is like a quite hefty core community waiting for this game. It's kind of like how Silksong and like Star Citizen and all these like games that people have been waiting years for kind of have these like really weird big cult communities. I'm not saying we're a cult, but you know, it's yeah, so it's fairly significant.
One of us. We are Hytale. We stand tall. Sorry.
I think you sort of mentioned it earlier that, you know, a lot of the people were, you know, going into adulthood and now are huge fans of Hytale. Do you think it's still going to hit with the younger audience, especially because, you know, I think it's very similar, as you say, to stuff like Roblox, to stuff like Minecraft, where a lot of the core audience are younger, and then you also, you know, it goes up through the ages. It continues to be big basically throughout any age demographic. Are you expecting Hytale to still manage to keep that up?
I think that they've got enough creative wits to be able to like appeal to older people. Like, I think they can still tell some really interesting fantasy based stories in their adventure mode and like have some really cool mobs and mechanics and things that people want to play around with. But at the end of the day, you know, you see Hytale, you look at the, you know, the aesthetic and everything, and that game is clearly, you know, is clearly intended for a, you know, moderately young audience. I'm not saying like, you know, children, but like, you know, teenagers, and I imagine like even probably it will probably appeal to younger kids and stuff like that. But I think that the problem with a game, unlike say a YouTuber that you watch, is, you know, a YouTuber ages with you over time, and so their demographic that they appeal to in some cases, you know, changes as well. You know, it always feels weird when you're watching someone doing kids content 10 years after they started it, you know, and they're like 25 now, not 15, but they're still acting like a crazy, you know, kid and all that, and like super over energetic and things. But like with the creators that you age up with, you know, and that you either age up with them or they start to appeal to a different audience. Games don't do that, right? Like you can't really just change who you're aiming a game at like halfway through development. And so I think that's the biggest frustration everyone's had, is a lot of the people in the community, especially in the Hypixel community, were like, you know, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old when that trailer dropped. And right then and there, it was like the prime time. It was like, if that game came out, this would be the thing I'd be playing for the next like 3-4 years until like I go, you know, to like it's, you know, until I go to college or like I get a job, and you know, a lot of people had free time to spend. Whereas now, you know, we're 5 years on, people have got married, got jobs, graduated, you know, had families, have moved, changed lives completely, maybe aren't even interested in the game anymore. But that game is still set in stone as appealing to the exact same demographic that it was originally. And that's the thing that frustrates people, I think, because you can't go back to that time where you were a different person, you know.
5 years ago, I was starting up my YouTube channel.
Oh wow, you are young. I mean, that's sort of the perfect thing in my feeling as well. You know, I don't have the time anymore to even play Minecraft, to be fair, let alone any other game, as well as doing editing and so on, and streaming and such. So it would have to be like, God, I wish I was young again. That's basically what you feel then.
See, I think that's where like it's interesting though, because I think there was so many people who back when the trailer came out wanted to play the game, whereas now I think there's a lot more people want to do like make things or like make a living out of of covering the game or playing the game or streaming the game or whatever the case may be, even like selling assets in the marketplace, because Hytale has this whole online sort of UGC marketplace planned where you can probably sell models and animations and different assets and things. So that'll be really interesting in itself for people to make money. So I know that, and that comes from my own experiences. Like, when I was younger, I was doing like online work and remote work and stuff, so it's quite easy for me to just pull up a game on my second monitor and just be playing Minecraft sometimes. I think a lot of people have thought, I need to get to that lifestyle now to enjoy Hytale. Like, I need more time in my life. I need to give myself those opportunities to play the game. But at the end of the day, I still think at whatever age, even if you've got a job and you're working or you've got a family, if you're really excited about a game, you can still find time to play it. Like, it's been 7 years since Red Dead 2 released, and I go back to it sort of at the end of every night and just play like a couple of hours, just like riding around and doing the like random encounters that you can do. So, as much as that isn't spending 12 to 14 hours on a server with my friends every day, which is, something I'd love to do, that's where I think people have pivoted and been like, well, if I was a YouTuber or if I was a map maker and I got paid and that was my living, maybe I could do Hytale all day and go back to that time, which is interesting. You said earlier, Orbits, about it being like a huge risk, to do the Hytale channel. But I have a job outside of the channel, and I work with other creators and do all sorts of different content stuff. So this channel is essentially my hobby. Kweebec Corner is a hobby at the moment, and obviously it'd be great to turn that into a full-time thing one day. But that's it's just something I find the time to make the videos on. So kind of like, I imagine once Hytale comes out, I'll be doing that, but in Hytale. So that's, I guess, my outlook on it. But I know not everyone wants to be a creator and cover Hytale all day every day as a living, just to be able to play the game as well. So
can I ask you a particularly nerdy question?
Yeah,
because
sure.
You talked earlier about you're very into analytics and what does well and so on. Can I ask why you changed your backgrounds from blue to red?
Oh, that's a great question. This was a couple of years ago now. I was going down like the whole thumbnail optimization pipeline, and I actually created my own thesis called just thumbnail theory, which is now packaging theory, because there's so many aspects to a YouTube video's thumbnail and package and everything. But yeah, I was going through something at the time where I was just like, like color wise, it makes sense to have red because more things stood out on it. It's also a very alert color, so it's like alert, click this button, like something big's happening. So that sort of is good. It contrasted well with the yellow text. The blue border, in some ways it kind of was just instinctual. Like once or twice I'd kind of change to go like purple or change the color a little bit, and then I just started doing the red one, and I was like, I just like this. It just seems better. It just is nicer. I don't know. What's your guys' opinion? Should I go back blue?
No, I'd stay on red.
Okay.
I like the red.
I did find as well, I guess, just for because one thing I realized was that people see my videos and they're recommended. They have that very singular, unique look of just like the background, yellow text, and the Hytale logo. Like you very easily can tell it's one of my videos, and so I felt that people were maybe getting bored of just seeing that same image over and over again. So a part of me was just like, let's switch it up a bit so that they give that video a second look when they get recommended, so it gets a few more eyes and a bit more attention, and that actually did work for a few videos. So sort of like having a style, but then kind of changing it up a bit so it sort of messes with the viewer psychology. I love that stuff. Like that's basically my job, is like studying that stuff.
I'm in marketing, so I'm basically the same. Where I have to
nice.
make sure I'm on basically presentation and how everything looks and so on. Yes, very very nerdy question there, but I liked your answer. I was gonna say, you basically answered this in a way where you said you with how expansive everyone could be with the game and so on, and basically creating their own games and so on. But is there any other particular thing where you look at Hytale and you go, I'm so excited for that to come out in particular?
It changes every day. Like I get that question a lot, and like whenever someone says it, I have to like decide between this like wheel of different things. Just playing the game for the first time is what I'm most excited about, to just be able to finally tangibly control the character in that world. And one thing I said is I just want to stand in the game. Like I just want to go in like first person mode or whatever and just stand in a random zone and just watch what happens, because I know that the team are working really hard on things like dynamic events and different interactions with the mobs. So mobs have like their own relationships with one another. So for example, like there's a big kind of frog monster creature called a fen stalker that spawns around swamps. And if a frog hops by, because the frog is also kind of like cold-blooded reptilian style, they both like bounce at each other as if to say hello. Whereas if it runs past you, it kind of tries to attack, or if it runs past other mobs, it'll hunt them down. So like I just want to stand in a zone and watch a bunch of things happen. Whether that's a faction like starts fighting with another faction, or a bunch of wildlife interacting with each other, or coming to see what I'm all about. Stuff like that is what I'm really excited for. But then second to that, playing with the people that I've been waiting for this game for 5 years with, like getting into a Hytale server and just going nuts, like just having fun, streaming, just making content, and just even not when we're recording, just like having a great time in the game. Because these people are like my family now, like all these people in the community that make content or cover the news or live stream or whatever the case is. Even people from all around the world, we are like always talking about other stuff now. Hytale we only really speak about now when there's like a few updates here or there, or if someone sort of comes in and has like a theory about something or a question. But mostly we're always talking about other things because we're all just friends now in this sort of like tight-knit little community. So yeah, super excited to play the game with those guys.
Something to kind of go back onto there, because I wanted to add on, but AJ was cooking, so I don't want to interrupt him. When you said about like the whole studying people, right? Kind of what I want to get into. I said if this whole like YouTube thing doesn't work out, which I mean, by the looks like it's going to, touch wood, hopefully, kind of cooking. But I want to like I work as a barista, right? And sometimes I watch the customers and they're so stupid. Like, I'm gonna be so real. Like a customer came today, right? Walked up to the coffee bar counter, looked around, looked over the counter, put their empty sandwich packet, which they didn't even buy from our coffee shop, on the counter, and then walked off. And I called them and they ignored me. And I just feel like, what went through your head to leave your empty packaging on my coffee counter as if it's a bin? Like, what is? Oh, people are so lazy. But yeah, with the whole studying people, I don't know. I just wanted to add that because it annoyed me today.
Well, it sounds like that customer needs to study package theory, I think.
Yeah, we go on.
Sorry, package theory. So like, I mean, I used to call it thumbnail theory, but then like I was like package theory because I'm like big into the idea that like YouTube and like online social media content strategy, all of that should be like taught in schools. But because of bureaucracy, academics will barely acknowledge that for another like 10 years, and even then it'll be like completely outdated by the time anything gets through. I know there's a lot of like online universities and other places that are like really pushing to like make YouTube more of a thing in like media courses and things like that. But I'm big on like trying to figure out how to make this teachable. And so like thumbnail theory, which is now package theory, is the idea that there's like a bunch of different aspects to a viewer looking at your thumbnail and deciding to click on it, right? So whether there's like a curiosity gap, or there's like certain aspects of a thumbnail's aesthetics. So like going through like rule of thirds, where like it's you split the thumbnail into like 3 distinct thirds, and then you go by these guidelines to make everything like perfectly aligned so that it's super satisfying for the eyes. But there's a bunch of nerdy stuff like that. Eventually that evolved from thumbnail theory into package theory, because I realized, wait, it's not just the thumbnail that matters, it's also the title, and it's also the YouTuber that's posting it, because they have like the social proof of who they are, and that's the brand, and then there's also the duration of the video, and that's like, oh wait, that's also a factor in when I decide to click a video or not, or watch it. So there's a bunch of stuff there that all go together to be like package theory, right? It's like everything that a viewer sees when your video is like recommended to them.
Basically why they looked at the counter and decided to leave their rubbish on the side when there's a bin right next to it.
I guess so, yeah, because I guess the counter was more clickable.
Well, they were just lazy and silly. Like,
I was gonna say that I, as someone that went through a bunch of marketing teaching stuff a few years back, they still are not up to date on YouTube at all. It's very basic stuff that they teach. It was quite a high profile school that I went to. This was when I was working, so I guess apprenticeship / school thing. They're very much not up to date with how YouTube works and how to package everything and so on. It's very much like still in the 2000s well, not even, I guess, early 2010s basically being like, oh, we're still marketing this stuff as if we're a business instead of marketing it like it was a YouTube video.
So that was as well, that was something I noticed, because obviously, like, just in general, like, most academia is like a little bit behind the times just because it takes a while to, you know, get updated on the latest stuff. But specifically with like media and things, it is already such a niche thing to like know about YouTube, even though that's like getting wider and wider every day. Obviously everyone knows about YouTube now, but like to actually know deeply about the YouTube systems and then like how to run a channel and everything is quite niche. And then like you abstract that to then like people who are maybe quite old and don't really understand the internet in general, trying to like figure out how to teach that. It all sort of like just ends up in people not really getting it or not being able to teach to the standard that you'd want. So that's like actually part of my job, is like I do consultations with YouTube channels, and I will literally sit there and like give them like theses and theories and breakdowns on this sort of stuff in like a more education based way. So like literally teaching them about like, you'll be surprised how like some creators who have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers don't even look at like YouTube Studio, and they don't know like what any of the data means or like how to you know, improve their videos analytics. Yeah, oh my god, it's so good to not have to think about that. But once you're in deep. So like it's like I guess essentially breaking the mold for like new people and being like, hey, like well, I guess it also works in terms of skipping the whole bureaucracy of education, because you can just get it from the source, right? Like, so I realized in like 2019, 2020, like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for almost 10 years and I've learned so much, but like loads of people don't know how to do this, and they could like, I could literally teach them. So like, you know, ironically, I never thought I'd be a teacher, but then I ended up sort of, yeah, doing a bunch of teaching and you know, showing people how to grow channels or like manage their content or come up with ideas, or even hiring editors, which, you know, you know, people, you know, say, you know, oh, just get an editor, but actually hiring a team and managing a team is such a difficult thing if you don't know how to do it as well. So yeah, helping people cut corners and make shortcuts there in their knowledge of YouTube was fun. But I'm rambling at this point, so.
But I respect it. No, I respect that. Like, it's nice because a lot of people, I mean, you used to look at all these like paid courses, right, on Twitter. It's like, oh, here's how to become an influencer. You see like these gurus on Twitter as well, which, as far as I'm aware, you haven't been one.
I do have like a content strategist account where I like, but that's been different. Yeah, that's been like my main account for years and years, and I mostly have always just been a YouTube nerd on there anyway. And yeah, nowadays you get a lot of gurus and
threads. Yeah, you're not making like a thread of like, here's how you make the ultimate thumbnail. I created this secret shorts channel and I got 20 million views in 2 days. Here's how I did it.
That's all like new age stuff. Because like when I was doing it, there was only really I won't even lie. I could count on like one hand how many actual YouTube strategists there were when I started like tweeting about YouTube a bit more and the nerdier side of stuff. And originally all I was tweeting about was sort of breakdowns of YouTube strategy in terms of like, oh, I saw a really cool video and I noticed this thing. They must have done that to like help their like retention. That's really cool. And I was like finding out and learning about it along the way. And obviously, like, because I'd worked with a bunch of YouTubers, I could make those connections, whereas other people may have not. So eventually I started doing like viral video breakdowns on like Mr. Beast videos and a few other like viral videos from the time. And I actually got a message from Mr. Beast himself, which is funny enough, because like I know nowadays loads of people do these like clickbait Twitter threads and all of this stuff, but I just broke down one of his videos, and I think like at one part I was like, oh, this could have been better, or like, oh, I think I see how that works. And then his strategist, who was called Mario at the time, recognized that thread and added me on Discord and was like, dude, you pretty much got like everything right in that thread. And then from that, Jimmy followed me and sent me a few messages, which was cool to chat.
Ooh.
Yeah, Kweebec Corner and Mr. Beast collabing? Who knows?
Mr. Beast in Hytale.
Wait, Mr. Beast Corner, maybe? Kweebec Beast?
Beast Corner.
Mr.
Beast
Kweebec.
Corner. Bruh, Mr. Kweebec. I like that. See, like, the funny thing is, Jimmy actually is somewhat aware of Hytale. So, for those of you who don't know, Riot Games actually bought Hytale
2020, right?
In 2020.
Yeah, so
and that's like, you know, the creators of Valorant and League of Legends and everything. And so they're throwing, like, we're talking hundreds of millions into Hytale. Like, this is going to be a huge game. It's massively funded. Riot have, like, big bets on it. And it's, you know, that's really exciting exciting in of itself. But then when they announced that, Jimmy, Mr. Beast, replied to the announcement with just a shocked emote face. So he is aware of Hytale to some capacity, which is funny. And you'd think with I'm such a big fan of Hytale, I actually got a chance to mention Hytale to Mr. Beast, but I actually didn't bring it up because I was quite nervous. But essentially, he flew me out to North Carolina like last year, which was quite crazy and very quick and sudden. But that was fun. I got to sort of go around his studio and meet a few people, which was nice.
Why? I know obviously you talked about stuff, but why? What?
So he was eyeing me up for a job. So basically I was still tweeting a little bit at the time just about certain things, and occasionally I DM him when I had like a strong opinion about one of his videos. And I think at one point he was just like, "Hey, I sent you a text," because I'd sent my number just in case he ever wanted to, ask me about anything. And he shot me a text, and I was like, "Wait, what?" So I checked my text, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to come down and see the studio and see if you'd want to work here and stuff?" So yeah, I actually got to spend like a weekend down in North Carolina with the Beast crew, and I got to tour and everything. But unfortunately, they wanted someone to actually move to America, and I wasn't in the position to do that at the time, which sucked. So yeah, just had to stay in touch. But I did get to do a few cool things while I was over there, although I can't mention everything. But yeah, I didn't mention Hytale, which is my one biggest regret as well. I should have brought it up.
Message him about it now. I'd be like, "Yo, by the way, I was just talking about Hytale today because
I could do that, but something tells me he might be a little bit busy at this time.
He's
At this
very
moment,
busy.
a little bit occupied.
But then Hytale could like help with like the busyness, like a positive distraction. Yo, you heard
I feel like he could bring back his gaming channel on about Hytale. Like if Hytale comes out, he could totally revive his gaming channel.
Exactly, and you should suggest that to him right now in this very moment on the podcast.
No, again, I think he might be a bit busy.
Kweebec corner DMs Mr. Beast. About Hytale,
and that's going in. Wait, say that one more time so I can say it without me saying it. Put in the highlights. Gone.
Kweebec corner DMs Mr. Beast about Hytale. Imagine, like, just do that in a second.
Right in the pre-highlights. Let's go.
Hey, that's the power of recording, power of editing. I don't know if you guys know as well. There's actually a recent update for Hytale, literally 2 days ago. So you guys are kind of you've got some like pretty good timing on this. Right? Yeah, there's a blog post after 6 months. Oh, dude, I've just seen that like an old YouTube channel that used to cover Hytale that stopped doing it has just made a video. So I am like very interested to check that out soon. But it's they did a blog post essentially announcing like, hey, we're not dead. We had to go back and redevelop an entirely new engine so that the game could work and we could do all the things we wanted to do. And as an update, here's that new engine. It is now it is visually looks like the old engine and everything that we've seen, because they didn't want to obviously have us wait 5 years for a game that looks completely different to all the footage we've been excited about. They've recreated the entire look to look exactly the same but better. And they've also announced that they're going to have all of like the actual functionality in the game, like all the mobs and the code and all the features and everything by the end of the year. They said that by the end of the year, they're going to have their most playable version of the game yet. So that's pretty exciting to hear about, because that effectively means, after the end of this year, they'll be able to show all sorts of really, really cool stuff. And the only reason they haven't been able to show stuff for a couple of years now is because they've been redeveloping the engine, and anything they would have shown would look terrible because they're redeveloping the engine, or they'd have to show outdated footage, which is sort of like lying, I guess. So definitely want to be integral and like not, break the trust of people by going, oh, this footage that we filmed on a legacy engine that we're not going to use 5 years ago is new footage, and this is what Hytale's going to look like. They're not the team to do that. They're definitely, they've got their minds well rooted in, the Minecraft and gaming online community. They're for the people, which is nice to see.
We're basically in a Hytale renaissance, and we managed to get you on at the perfect time.
That's bang on. I mean, I just want it to happen. I just want the game to come out, but not even that. I think that they also mentioned in the blog post that they'll be reaching out to more creators, like not just YouTubers, but like artists, modelers, like people in the communities and gaming communities, to actually like start testing the game and giving feedback on stuff. And then eventually they're going to have a beta, and then I'm sure that Riot Games being involved, there's going to be a really big marketing strategy behind this. So I'm sure we'll hear about it months before it releases as well, and there'll be like this big wave of hype. I can't wait for that moment, because then it's finally me being like, I told you so. I get that like I told you so moment to people who've been like, this game will never come out, it's fake, it's a scam.
I was going to say your dream is almost close. It's close by.
it got a little scary there. It got a little scary there. It's what, like, Riot Games was announcing they were cutting a bunch of jobs and they stopped developing one of the games. And I like was sort of freaking out at that time because I was like, dude, if they cut Hytale, I'm gonna look like such an idiot. Like, an innocent idiot, albeit, you know, I don't get like really aggressive and in people's face on my videos being like, Hytale's gonna be the best game ever, you guys are idiots if you think wrong. You know, like, I try and have a fairly impartial opinion, especially because a lot of the comments from outside viewers of the videos that, you know, don't know all the details are quite uninformed. They don't know the whole thing and they haven't watched every one of my videos, so I can't really expect them to, you know, get it in the same way that I do. And so I just try and be, you know, give their opinions a little bit of consideration when I'm doing my videos. So I will try and be critical of the game, you know, with this update as well recently. As much as I've made it sound really cool on this podcast, it was like one clip that was like slightly underwhelming and I was like, oh, that could be better. And there was a bunch of comments on Reddit that was saying the same, and I was like, yeah, I think I've got to mention that in my video. You know, I can't just glaze over it. Some people actually think that I'm paid to make those videos by the team, which is completely untrue. But there's like people that, because they were like, oh, you're just so nice to them, like you never give critical feedback or anything like that. And it's like, well, it's genuinely just I'm not a very critical person. Like, I mean, I'm critical, but not of this game. I whenever I look at this game, I'm like, yeah, they're doing a pretty good job. Like, that's just my honest opinion on those videos. And like I said, you know, it's a hobby to make those videos. It's not like a job or anything. I don't make loads of money out of those videos, so it's not something that I would be manipulating, you know, to get, you know, more money or more views or anything. It's just a genuine, honest opinion I have when I write those videos.
Maybe you're just excited and looking forward to the game. I mean, you can be
which is true. Yeah, I mean, I haven't changed since 5 years ago. I'm still super stoked for it, but again, that's just because my ideas for like the content in the game just keep growing and growing and growing, and because there's just not as many games that I enjoy playing anymore. So like the thought of this perfect game that I've been waiting for ages is just really exciting to me.
Which is nice.
Of course.
Hyperfixation, that's what it's called.
Exactly. Yeah, I know exactly about that. I was gonna say, I feel like no matter how much we talk to you, we're going to get a surprise, because we've of course had the, you know, revelation that you worked with the Noxcrew, and then we have the revelation that, you know, Mr. Beast flew you out, personally scouted you out to potentially work with him. I guess my next question is there any other surprises that you're going to pull out on us?
I don't think there's anything else. It's crazy. I know I get around a bit, but you know, it's been a long time at this point.
I was just not expecting when we went into today's podcast to talk about Hytale these incredible revelations. So they're very hype. Don't get me wrong. I was just not expecting them.
I want to try and figure out if there's anything I haven't mentioned about, like, I guess Minecraft.
I have a question. I mean, if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, we could talk about Hytale forever. I feel like we should probably move on before we kind of just keep repeating ourselves. I think we kind of did so with the like the package theory part, but that was good because now I can like segment it up, which is perfect. I did it on purpose for the timestamps. Obviously, we don't know wrap around in a circle too much with Hytale, so we'll touch on Minecraft a little bit more. We've, like AJ just said there, we've kind of hinted at the idea you've worked with the Noxcrew. What did you like? I guess for more once again timestamps here. What did you actually do with the Noxcrew?
So for the Noxcrew, I was a writer. So I remember they were making custom maps, and I messaged the team just being like, "Hey, can I be a writer?" And they were like, "Yeah, here's a trial. Like, can you write a story about this thing?" It was like it's something about a raven, I think. And then I ended up just like submitting like a 500 or 1,000 word Google document with the story, and they were like, "Yep, that checks out. You can join the team." So that was just how easy it was back then. You know, like this is like I don't even remember when this. It must have been like 2000 and maybe 2012, 2013 was the time I joined, and I was with them for I think like 2 years, and it was in the time when they were doing the game show, which was like the iteration of MCC before it was MCC. So I did a lot of playtesting for those games. I did the rule videos, like the original rule videos for each of the mini games. Or I worked. Well, there was another writer on the team which was Noxcite's brother, and we worked together on those rule videos a lot. And they had like these. Sorry, my bad. They had like these commentators on the old show, and they used to have like little scripts that were like sort of really comedic, like little satire jokes here and there that we used to script and everything. So that was fun.
I was going to say that's pretty crazy because we've had in recent weeks we've had Happy Wheels on, who now does basically the rules for the MCC games.
Oh, nice! That's great.
So it's going full circle.
The legacy continues.
I wrote a blog about MCC. It wasn't an affiliation. And I made that very clear at the bottom with like really tiny writing, so very, very clear. But yeah, All right, so I guess that's my impact, not directly, not paid, but still cool, I guess.
I think I did work on a few other things, but I really like off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember what they were. I know that there was like an adventure map we were working on for a while that I'm not sure if it did get released. I'm pretty sure it did. And then there was like I was there for the early stages of like Terra Swoop Force, which was like that big Elytra cave map that came out. So I remember like the initial meetings where we were all pitching ideas for that and stuff, which is, you know, cool. Because I did leave a little bit after that, but then I think I also attended like some conventions with them in the UK, the Insomnia Gaming Festival, and did some booth work with them as well. But yeah, I left them, and then actually a couple of years later, the Bedrock Marketplace started, and I joined a team called Blockception, and so they were like one of the initial like 7 partners of Bedrock. Yeah, so I'm really good friends with Alex, the sort of CEO of, or you know, the head of Blockception, and yeah, just sort of messaged him up. I was like, hey, I'm like getting into Minecraft stuff again. Like, what's going on? And he was like, we've literally just landed a deal to like start making maps for the Minecraft Marketplace. You want to write one? And I was like, yep, okay. And so I basically was like the narrative designer for a lot of their early Marketplace maps. Like one of the first maps on the Marketplace was called Annie, the Rise of Londinium, and that was like a map that we scripted together, which was really fun. Oh yeah, and a few years later we did Sam and Danny, which was like this episodic series where it was like these 2 little characters that you followed along with this like blue little character. They were kind of going through like these portals that took them to different dimensions, and so each episode was like a different dimension. So that was really cool. That was like great to just like write the script and have it voice acted and get custom animations, because Bedrock like surprisingly let you do a lot of really, really cool stuff in the early days. Although it was limited, we did make some really cool maps out of it.
I lost $500 in a Galaxite tournament.
Oh my gosh. Wait, was it, what were the stakes? Like what was the context?
First place was $1,000, second place was $500, and I think third place was like $250 or something. And the final was between me and someone who had very, very bad ping, which to this day I still believe they were lag switching. And they ended up beating me, but because obviously they was in a tournament, they ended up winning. But it didn't affect me that much because I ended up having Alex on the podcast also.
Hey, I didn't even see that. I'm gonna have to check that one out as well.
That was before the break. Yeah. That was before the break.
Interesting. So. Yeah, because like I know that Galaxite was like a little baby when I eventually moved on from Blockception, and it was like I know Alex was like really, really excited about it. They had like a whole team that was working on it, and they effectively had to rebuild Minecraft from like the ground up to like work with the servers, and like there was so much stuff that they had to do. So eventually when they launched that, I remember we had a call and just like a little catch-up call, and he was like showing me the server and all the new mini games that they came up with, and then like he surprised me because they had Sam and Danny, the characters we came up with on the map. They were like the mascots for like some of the things in the server, and that just brought a massive smile to my face. That was so cool.
It was just funny when you said the name. I was like, oh my god, I know that dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a surprisingly small world considering how many Minecraft players there are. You know,
yeah, I used to be a Bedrock content creator, so.
Dude, when after like the marketplace kind of started to get a little bit clickbaity and weird and stuff, and I think that was around the time I sort of moved away from it, and that's when I actually moved into Roblox, which is just an entire chaotic other situation and scene and all that stuff. But yeah, I actually moved into Roblox for like a year and a half, and didn't really look at Minecraft for a while. Had my own little Minecraft break, but then came back again after 2021.
Fair enough. With that, did you have anything else you wanted to speak about, or AJ, did you have any other questions, or should we move into the Twitter questions? We've done a really good job of covering it.
There's so much more to cover than we expected.
True. We only had so many notes, but you did say it. You did say you was going to bring up stuff that even we didn't know about.
I did. I warned you.
But do you have anything else, or should we move on?
Not particularly. I mean, yeah, unless you guys have any other questions. I'm sure the Twitter questions are going to be fun. I don't know. I don't know how many of them are going to be just my community making jokes, but
we have so we have 2 questions and 1 statement. I guess I'll read the 2 questions. You read the statement, AJ, if you have it up.
Okay.
So it's kind of linking into both. So this one's from Cheesy Kira, and the other one's from Canadian Flash. So I'm just gonna ask both of them. Cheesy asked, "How did John Hendricks smell?" And Canadian Flash asked, "Why didn't you ask John Hendricks to see his leg?"
Right. Okay. So John Hendricks, for context, is the person who worked at Mojang and on Minecraft for the Bedrock edition, and he moved over to Hytale. So like he actually is so dedicated. First of all, John has done a lot of things in his history in the game industry. He's not just worked with Microsoft and Minecraft, but he's worked on like some huge games. I can't even name them off the top of my head because I've just got a lot of thoughts at the moment. Like we're talking like some monumental games. He's worked on some really cool like movie projects and like other industry things, I think. And he's like also a big fan of like suits of armor and stuff. He's just this big guy that like has suits of armor and like swords and like loads of really like medieval stuff. So the guy's just cool in like every regard, right? And so when I got to go and meet the team, there's actually like this thing where he got a tattoo of Hytale. Now, of all the games in the world that he's worked with and all these cool projects, he got a tattoo of Hytale. And what it is a bunch of characters, and one of those characters is unreleased and like not been announced yet for the game. So everyone in the community is, because we barely have anything to go on at this point, are just so obsessed with what his tattoo is. The problem is it's on his leg. And so when I met him, I would have had to ask this huge giant guy who carries around swords and has worked on like every cool game project in the world ever, effectively to lift up his trousers and show me his leg. And then I'm assuming Cheesy's question is, why didn't I smell him, or what did he smell like? I'm not too sure. I don't remember. It was I was getting prepared for my presentation, so I was probably quite sweaty myself.
Should have asked in the presentation to see like should have been one of the slides. Next up, John. Bro. Hi. Can I see your leg? And that's it.
Yeah, that's just not something I'm willing to ask someone that could potentially decapitate me there on the spot.
I don't think they do that. That could be illegal. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I feel like it's somewhat legal.
Maybe a little bit.
Sure is. And then my statement reading out is from Hugo Trock. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. And it's, I love you, Connor.
Oh, that's nice.
That's cute.
That's cute. Yeah, Hugo Trock he's one of the creators in our community, and he's actually a Spanish creator, and he's like one of the bigger Spanish creators that covers the game. Like I said, there's a huge international audience like that are just obsessed with Hytale, and the Spanish community in particular, like just mad about it. Like there's streamers that get like 50, 60, 70k views like on almost daily videos talking about the game when there's basically nothing to talk about at this point. But yeah, they're crazy. But Hugo Trock's absolutely amazing. He always gets behind us in like the charity events. He's in our Discords. We always make jokes, and he was saying that the blog post wasn't going to come till August. So say suck it, Hugo. You were wrong.
Yeah, I know Hugo because of Noxcrew.
Oh, right. I should dial that back. Okay, rewinding. I take back what I said. Hugo's absolutely amazing. He also worked on the Ender Cup recently with the Noxcrew and like done a bunch of Noxcrew work. Guy's absolutely amazing and awesome. And it's, the end of his name is Trork, which is actually a combination of troll and orc, which is a mob in Hytale. So he's another one that uses a mob from Hytale in his username. Yeah.
I am shocked at that. I can't believe it. Is that there's another profile picture also? Or no?
Yep. Yeah, it is. I think I might be the nerdiest thing I've said all podcast was that thing I just said right there.
I was reading it Torok, like the game.
Oh, bro, that was such a good game. I remember that.
Yeah, I only remember Torok 2. So
I might be too young to know what that game is.
I just remember the guy used to yell, "I'm Torok" all the time. That's all he ever said.
Isn't that what you do now, AJ? You just say, "I'm AJ."
X, yes.
Look, for those of you out there that don't remember it, just know that games were weird before Minecraft. Okay, they were crazy time.
And now I wasn't born before Minecraft came out.
Yes, I was. So. Yes, I very much was, as far as I'm aware. It turned 15 the other day because of the Ender Cup collab. So. Because of that specifically, that's the only reason it turned 15 is because that collab existed. With that being
just purely that.
said, then. And sadly brings the end of this podcast, Connor. If I'm okay to call you Connor, I think.
Yeah, of course, dude. Of course, yeah. Unfortunately, I couldn't reveal any release dates here or give you any big Hytale info drops.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot because I was going to turn around and be like, "Oh, give us leaks," but I was like, "Yeah, you probably can't." So
I did have like an extensive 3-hour talk with some creators the other day, which a video just went up about like what we think the date for the
was in that, right?
Yeah, and that one we're thinking. In that one, I projected it to be summer of 2026, or maybe just a little bit earlier. So
you know what?
Fingers crossed.
If it does,
it's only 2 years away.
Yeah, exactly. And the podcast, I reckon, will still be around by then, or some form of it. So when it does, if you feel like coming back on, you're more than welcome to.
Hey, gladly. Yeah, thank you guys so much. You've asked some really cool questions as well. This has been a really fun time talking, and yeah, getting to share some stuff.
We try our best, especially in this bloody heat. I've had to turn my fan
on.
So
hot. It's boiling.
the audience won't know how much I messed up at the start. I just could not talk.
What are you on about? Nothing happened, AJ. It was perfect.
Yeah, nothing
It
happened.
flowed perfectly.
Yeah.
Before I do the outro here, we always like to give this part for you to promote yourself. Obviously, if no one's heard of you before and they're just getting to know you and they're like, oh my god, I love this dude. I love Hytale. Where can I find you? What is your social media?
Yeah, so on Twitter it's at Kweebec Corner, nice and simple. Or if you just search Casey Hytale, I should pop up. And on YouTube it's Kweebec Corner, and that's pretty much all I got going on the Kweebec side of things, on the Hytale side. So yeah, if you want news and updates about the game, I'm your guy. Come to Kweebec Corner.
There we go. And the name will be in the title anyways, so
Dope, awesome, that's great.
with that being said then, AJ, do the outro. Go on.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check out Orbits on Twitter at Insane Orbits, and check me out at Captain AJX. It's always an honor to have you guys listening, and we're very grateful for you all. And yeah, thank you all. And remember, don't eat too much bread.
Aces.